Well, there's been a lot of excitement lately around Bitcoin, especially because September was not the bust that we all thought it would be, but in fact, Bitcoin closed up 5% for the month. And over the past 8 days, we've seen mostly large green candles, bringing us from a low of around $108,000 last week to as high as $123,000 today. So many are wondering, is this still a good time to buy? Did I just miss the big Bitcoin pump and are we about to dump and so I should just hold off? Well, in this video, I want us to zoom out and see exactly where we are in the current Bitcoin bull run. And I think you're going to be very excited about the possibilities of what could be happening in the coming few weeks. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, buckle up, and let's get started. Now here's a chart of the Bitcoin price going back to the beginning of 2023, which is the start of the current bull run, now in its third year. And on this chart, each candle represents 1 week of price data, with the green candles being up weeks in Bitcoin price and the red candles being down weeks. And what we see is Bitcoin price does not move smoothly up and to the right, but it actually moves with periods of fast, steep pumps in price to a new high level, and then relatively longer periods of sideways consolidation around that price level. So we have a fast, steep pump to a new price level, and then sideways consolidation around that level. Now I'm going to put up the moving average convergence divergence indicator, also known as the MACD indicator. And the MACD indicator gives us this idea about shifting momentum between bullish and bearish sentiment. And it consists of a fast moving blue line called the MACD line, and then a slower moving orange line called the signal line. And you'll notice that sometimes the MACD line is above the signal line, and sometimes it's below the signal line. Now, when the MACD line crosses over the signal line, that's also called a bullish crossover. And you see the histogram bars flip green, and the Bitcoin price is mostly green candles. When the MACD line crosses below the signal line, that's also called a bearish crossover. The histogram flips to red candles, and the Bitcoin price action includes a lot more red candles because that's a period of sideways consolidation. When we have a bullish crossover, that's generally a buy signal because you see Bitcoin price is going to be climbing during that period of time. And then when you have a bearish crossover with MACD going below the signal line, that's often a sell signal because then you're going to have multiple weeks and potentially months of sideways price action or even dropping price action. Now, over the past 3 years of the current bull run, I've identified 5 distinct periods of Bitcoin price pumping to a new high level before consolidating for a period of time. And we see that back in March of 2023 was our first pump when Bitcoin pumped to around the $30,000 level over a period of about 4 or 5 weeks. And then it consolidated for a period of 29 weeks, almost 6 months, around that $30,000 level. Before October 2023, it pumped again to a new high level of around $43,000 over the period of 7 weeks, with you see mostly green candles. And then it consolidated sideways for a period of 10 weeks, so 2.5 months above and below that level, before pumping again in February of 2024 to another price point of $69,000, consolidating for 8 months above and below that $69,000 price point. Now, I mentioned there have been 5 distinct periods of these pump with consolidation, and here's a summary of those 5 that we've seen so far in the current bull run. And you see that on average, the Bitcoin price will pump for about 5.6 weeks, and then it reaches a new price point, and then it consolidates sideways above and below that level for on average 26 weeks, which is half a year. And the average price increase during the pump is about 45%. So where does that leave us today? Well, the most recent pump was in June, which was a 5-week pump to a new high of 119,465. We've been consolidating at that level since July 21st, and so far it's been 11 weeks into the consolidation period. Now, notice that the shortest consolidation period was just 10 weeks back in December 2023, and the average consolidation period is 26 weeks, or half a year. So we're just over the shortest period of consolidation, and we're just under the average period of consolidation. So really where we are today is we're at fair game to start our pump to the next price point any week now. So you might ask, well, hey, we're in the first week of October and we seem to be pumping. Is this the pump? Well, let's look at the MACD indicator to get some insight. Now, you'll notice that whenever we saw a pump, the MACD line was above the orange line. That was true in March of 23. And then in October of 23, we had just had a bullish crossover, and then Bitcoin price pumped with MACD over the signal. Same thing in February of 2024. We almost had a bearish crossover, but the MACD line started recovering to go up, and then Bitcoin price pumped for 5 weeks. Then again, in November of 2024, we had a bullish crossover, and then 4 weeks later, Bitcoin price pumped. So notice the MACD is above the signal line. Same thing in June of this year. We had a bullish crossover in May, and then 7 weeks later, Bitcoin price pumped to 119,465. So right now, we've been consolidating sideways. If the pattern holds from the prior 5 pumps of this bull cycle, we would want to see the MACD line above the signal line, and then the pump will come. And in the past, the pump would come anywhere from 1 to 5 weeks after that crossover. But notice that in no cases has a Bitcoin pump begun with the MACD line below the signal line. Notice how close we are today with the MACD line actually ticking up towards the signal line. So that could cross over as of the close of this week on Sunday, or it might be the following Sunday because the weekly charts close on Sunday. So it could happen this week or next week, or perhaps the following week. It could be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks before the next pump begins. Now, this is not a price prediction, but just based on the past 5 pumps and the patterns we've seen, the average pump lasted for 5 weeks, and then the average increase was 45%. So from where we are right now, consolidating around the $119,000 level, if we started the new pump next week after getting a bullish crossover this Sunday, we would potentially pump for up to 5 weeks into November or December, and a 45% increase would imply a new Bitcoin price level of $173,206. So that's all just based on past averages, not a prediction, but it gives you an idea about the timing for the next pump and potential new price levels. So I hope that gives you a good idea as you're thinking about whether to get Bitcoin for the first time or add to your position. What could happen in the next few months and weeks? Bitcoin price right now is consolidating around $119,000. The last level we consolidated at pump number 4 was $104,000. So that would represent the absolute floor. In fact, we've never really gone down to the prior price high in a new period of consolidation. So Bitcoin price could have a potential 45% upside, but the downside is going to be probably where we were last week, which is around $108,000. And as for the timing, we did just begin Uptober. We're about to go into Moonvember next month, and then Bullcember. Q4 after a halving year tends to be very bullish. Many people are thinking that we are in a lengthening cycle, so the bull run could extend into Q1 of 2026. Again, this is all speculation, but the projections that you see on the screen right now are consistent with what we're seeing, a lot of projections coming out of JP Morgan and Citigroup and all of the Bitcoin analysts who are very bullish right now. So I hope you enjoyed that quick update. If you need some help to buy your Bitcoin for the first time or dollar cost average for no fees, check out my buying guide playlist, especially using River to do your DCA. And until next time, be wise, be safe, and stack sats.